Hey, you too. How you doing? I hope you're good. The last time we were together, we were talking about how do we make this for sale market, and it's pretty crazy because once people buy stuff, right? They once they make their portfolio, they're buying stuff by making transactions, and you're selecting stocks from the greater market, and then you're adding that to your portfolio, and that portfolio is kind of the location for all transactions that you hold. And we are setting up a price history so that within each stock, there's kind of a record of price increases, that we can take advantage of, and we will in a later assignment. But right now, the idea is we need to be able to do a couple things. One is created our market, and then we've created our buyers. And each of those buyers are building their random portfolio. And there's a couple of things that I've changed here, because you're starting off with a thing called the market. And your market contains your array list of stocks, which is the M property. And then you have the for sale market. And the for sale market is actually going to be empty. It's going to be initialized but empty when it first starts up. So we've added a little bit of code here, and we've surrounded it using a paradigm called try and catch. Because frankly, this is a complex move, and until it finishes, we actually want it to wait and hold on to the thread that is controlling this instruction until we ultimately finish. Now, in the case that we fail or it does not finish, it's going to throw an exception. And that exception, we actually want to capture the message associated with that exception, just in the case that we have one. So we're saying, please just work on this until you get it finished. And when that block is finished, then we're going to issue into another block. We're going to say, okay, let's go look at that for sale market. And that's all derived from, and let's go into build random portfolio. That's all derived from what's happening inside a build random portfolio, where you are in fact building your portfolio. But then when that's finished, I want you to go and do a new feature that's called sell-off winners, which means that, hi, you own a portfolio. You've got some stocks in that portfolio that, since you've bought it, are now worth some more. And if you look at real electronic stock markets, those bots, those Java bots that buy and sell stocks on real stock markets, they may own stocks for only milliseconds. And they may sell it off because prices actually fluctuate at millisecond ranges. Now, you guys have an interesting enough market that your prices are fluctuating. And in your market, guys, everybody's making money because prices are always going up, which is fine, and they only go up a few times, then they'll go down. We haven't written any further rules for that. But you're actually going to be in a position of making a little bit more money. So the sell-off winners is what happens next. So we go down to sell-off winners. And we're saying, for every transaction in your portfolio this far, look at each of those stocks in the market. And if the symbol in the market is the same as, if the stock in the market is the same as the transaction in your portfolio, if the price of your transaction in your portfolio is less than the price of the market, go ahead and put it up for sale. So look inside of that market and add it to the for sale market. And that sounds like a lot. If you understand that, then kudos. But this is going to be an array list of transactions that pertain to the stuff that's on sale. And that's the for sale market. So we're saying, go ahead, put it up for sale. And then that gives the opportunity for other people to buy it from you. And so that's the sell-off winners. And if that doesn't work, then go ahead. We say, sorry, we haven't found a price worth selling for right now. And you can put that right there. And then we say, go ahead, catch the exception. And then the last step of sell-off winners is actually to return a new copy of the market. So your market begins here. Here's the path the market takes. Your market begins here in the main. And then we're going to pass a copy of the market to build random portfolio. Now what's interesting here is ultimately build random portfolio is going to transform the market, and then it's going to pass it back to the original market, and it's going to change some of the stuff in the market. And you're saying, well, what changed? Well, the for sale market expanded for every buyer that created a portfolio. So let's go through that. So this is how we ended up hacking this right here. Let's go and build random portfolio. And this is what you're familiar with. And then we actually create a new market that's equivalent to the results of sell-off winners. So we pass the market here into sell-off winners. That's pretty exotic, but it's working perfectly. And let's go sell-off winners. And it's good for where you're at right now. It's a good technique. It's a good way to learn methods and passing stuff. And so we're going to go through that algorithm. And then ultimately at the very end of this sell-off winners, I'm going to return the market as you've transformed it. And so that market will return to build random portfolio. And then then build random portfolio is going to return that market. And so that returns back to main. So the market that we begin with gets transformed during the portfolio construction period. And some stuff goes for sale. And this is the limit of our simulation, where really new buyers are what causes prices to go up. Now, in an authentic stock market, certain buyers will stay on the market for decades. But you and I don't have decades. We just run our simulation over the course of just a few moments. But we just want to prove some of these fundamentals, right? And so we go into try catch. And then what we're going to do, last step, is we're going to iterate through the contents of the for sale market to prove that our for sale market has been populated during the build random portfolio stage, right? We're getting a lot of value out of that one. You've been sticking with this one method now for a long time. You're getting a lot of value out of it. And we're going to iterate through all the transactions within that for sale market. And we're going to print out a little bit of statistics on each of who holds what, how many of what, at what price. So let's give that a run just to give some visualization. Now, one of the things we've done here is we've actually shrunken the size of the marketplace. So there are only 10 buyers there. I can set up a market about 1,000 on my laptop. And here, let's just do 1/10 of that. And it takes a little time to run. I found that with 100,000 buyers, it stopped working. And my algorithm is probably not efficient just yet. But what it says buyer, this person has a budget of this. And so our buyers are constructed. And then it says our for sale market contains, and this is stuff that's very similar to what you have right now. Your for sale market contains this buyer who holds 125,223 shares of this stock at $4. And interesting how that repeats. I'm going to find out why that is. And we iterate through the entirety of that person's portfolio. And then we go to the next buyer. And we look at all the holdings that that person has. Now, these are shares that the person bought at one time and then they now have put up for sale. So there's quite a few holdings there. There can be as many as 25 holdings per buyer. And this is what these buyers have chosen to put up for sale. So where we're at right now is we now have IPO market, which are things that are still for sale by their bankers, right? And then we have shares that are no longer available in the IPO market, but are available by buyers. And so we want to set up a condition where if you try to buy a stock and it's out, or the share of the number of IPO are depleted, you should be able to go to the for sale market and get it on the aftermarket, the used stock market, if you will. And so when we come back next time, we'll talk about how to transition into that, how to buy stock from other people. And what we'll likely do is use techniques that you're already familiar of, which is searching the for sale market for stuff that has a particular symbol. And then if we buy it from that person, your budget will be reduced, and that person's budget will bloom, right? Their budget will go up, which is kind of the art and craft of arbitrage, or making money on the stock market. So I hope that is a reasonable demo, and I hope you definitely slow the video down a few times and look through the code quietly, carefully, line by line, and add these new lines, and maybe pause the thing and code along with it. But think architecturally. Understand that the market has a new component called the for sale market. It's a new data structure that holds transactions, and transactions have that buyer ID right there, that record the buyer's name. The main has a new try-catch rubric that helps to not move forward until we buy the random portfolio. We're also transforming the market itself. And as we move through each buyer, we're increasing the for sale market. That's just a trick that we're using to create the illusion of the active market. And then once we're finished, we want to prove that we have a for sale market at all. And it contains various items. And it will have that. And we'll iterate on a per buyer basis right there. So I hope that's helpful. Don't forget to subscribe and click on all the ads that are in the video. I have a very lucrative, since I have so many followers, I think I have 14 as of today. There's a lot of advertising money that's rolling in by virtue of this account. So definitely help subsidize this account by clicking on some of our ads from Toyota and Ford, or big customers. So thanks a lot. Do well.